characters, as well as Yoda from the Star Wars series. And also his directing credits are legendary. He worked with Henson on The Dark Crystal, and then has gone on to direct numerous popular comedies, including What About Bob, Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, House Sitter, Bowfinger, Death at a Funeral, and of course, tonight's film, one of the most revered movie musicals in the last 30 years. Frank is also a successful theater director, having recently worked in London on a show called Terrible Advice at the Great Minier Chocolate Factory. He is a great friend of BAM and a superstar in every way, and I'd like to introduce him now. So thank you.
Thank you. Jesus. I'm not going to take much time here. Little Shop, I'm so happy you're seeing it. I haven't seen it for years. I've seen pieces of it, so I'm going to enjoy it with you. And my wife has too when she gets here. It was shot in 1986 in Pinewood Studios, London, at the 007 stage. It was all interior, nothing exterior. The old 007 stage actually burned down. Now there's a new one, but it was all interior, and just the last thing I want to say about it is that there's nothing digital here. Not one frame of digital. It's all real. That was the original ending. Yeah. We filmed the entire thing. Richard Conway worked about a year on it. Which is kind of a B-movie thing where the plants are coming down New York and the cars are being thrown up in the air, and the Brooklyn Bridge and that swaying with a big plant on there. It's just, you know, brilliant, brilliant work. But I had to give him a call, sadly, terrible call, saying we couldn't use his stuff. The reason was I shot for about 5 months in London, and I guess you lose perspective. You know, Howard Ashman and I, in the beginning, said to David Geffen, we wanted to have the original ending where they two die. And David says, you can't do that. And we said, we really want that. So David supported us. Turns out he was right. What happened was that we went to San Jose for the first preview. And the audience was incredible, like you guys. It was applauding after every number. And I remember the heads of Warner's at that time, Bob Daly and Terry Semel were right in front of me, and they were like so happy until we killed Audrey and Seymour, and it became an icebox. It was, you know. So I knew what happened was, to those of you who have ever been in those screenings, those previews, you answer cards, you answer questions, and one of the most important questions they ask is, would you recommend this? And the bottom line, you have to have like a 55% recommend in order to release it. Ours was 13%. It was an unmitigated disaster, a total disaster. And they hated us for killing the lead. So I asked David Geffen in Warner's, could I try it in Los Angeles? We tried it. Same thing happened, about 16%. We had no choice. They wouldn't release it, and Howard and I knew exactly what we had to do. And we went back to London for 2 weeks and reshot, and this was the ending. And we never used Richard's brilliant work. That's what happened. And not only that, but the plant at that size, especially when it got bigger, the big one, it could not lip sync. In other words, the foam rubber doesn't move that fast. It's impossible. Okay? So what we did was, whenever you see the plant singing by itself, it's I think it's 12 frames a second, if you know film at all. And then when it's singing with, and then Rick Moranis is singing along with it, it's 24 frames. When the Rick and the plant are singing together, it's 16 frames. which means that whenever you see Rick sing with a plant, he's walking like this and sing, because otherwise the plant would not, the lips would not be able to move that fast. You just couldn't do it. So it was a bitch, and I just told them I wanted frame perfect. I wanted lip sync frame perfect, and I wanted lip sync frame perfect for all the singers too, and they rehearsed a lot. But it was extraordinary, and Levi Stubbs was fantastic, wasn't he? He was great. Does that answer your question? Sorry. I kind of go off on things sometimes.
You got thumbs up there.
Okay.
Yes.
So you said you made changes to the screenplay, and of course there are songs that are in the show that aren't in here, and
Right.
there's the last song that's not in the show at all.
Correct.
How much was that a scramble for you and for Menken and Ashman? Were you really involved in that, and just how did that come together?
Yeah, I don't know if you all heard that. You all heard that? Okay. Well, what I did on the rewrite is I don't touch the dialogue on that. Didn't touch it. When I rewrite, I really don't touch the dialogue because I'm very respectful of the writer. Because I'm not a writer, I'm a very good editor. So I restructured things. I took songs out that I felt didn't work. I put songs in. And more than anything else, I made it a movie sensibility, not a stage sensibility. They're just two different sensibilities. Regarding that last song, it was actually written during the shooting of it. I was saying to Howard, you know, we need something bigger at the end there. And he gave me two songs, and one I rejected, and this is the one, the Mean Green Mother, we used, because for the play you didn't need it, but for a movie you need a bigger number, a big violent number, special effects number. And so Howard was wonderful. He just gave me two songs. Howard Ashman is absolutely brilliant. I don't know if you know him or not. He was a genius. He really was. He sadly died of AIDS, and like many friends have. But it was Howard who just did it when I asked him to. He was brilliant.
And the song got an Oscar nomination.
The song did, and Lyle Conway, who actually made the plant, got an Oscar nomination. That's one thing about the plant. I was watching it there, and I hadn't seen it for so long, and I realized how beautiful the plant was, all the paint and all the insides of the mouth and all that stuff. It was really allowed its stunning work, I have so many things I want to tell you that kind of secrets, and I don't want to take away from your questions, but I'll tell you when the questions are done.
How about right there?
Hi. I work in a film studio, and we often have to answer to the executives and the cards from screenings. And I was wondering if you could compare your experience making Little Shop with other movies where there was more independent control over the outcomes and scripts and whatnot.
Well, I've always done big studio pictures, except for Death at a Funeral, which I did, not the black one, but the white one. Chris wanted to do the black one, and Chris thought it was one. I was very flattered that Chris wanted to. So I've always dealt with big studios and stuff in cars. I've had to be. I'm always careful with cars. I've got to believe my own gut instinct, and cards can cause a lot of problems because people listen too much to them. So I haven't really done independent other than Death at a Funeral. So I guess every time I've done a movie, I kind of have to fight what I believe is best and agree with what I agree with. But at the end of the day, it's got to be my instinct. I've been fortunate. Yeah.
How about right up there?
Yes. You have such a cool, varied career. From puppeteering to voiceover work to acting to directing to producing. Do you have any advice to other people who are trying to work in multiple different creative endeavors?
I got so lucky. I just did. The only advice I have is do what you love and do a lot of it. I puppeteered from like 11 years old till about 18. Never want to be a puppeteer ever. Want to be a journalist actually. The Wall Street Journal is fine without me. And then Jim asked me when I was 17 to come to New York, and then he trained me for years before I had the guts to even do a voice. And then after years of performing with Jim, he asked me, he was asking me to help do some film stuff, and then eventually he asked me to co-direct Dark Crystal. And then because of that opportunity, then he gave me the opportunity to write and direct My Mistake Manhattan, and then David Geffen asked me to do this, and then I started getting asked to go to movies. So I just got lucky, and I didn't screw up too bad. So since I didn't screw up too bad, they kept asking me. I really have not struggled like probably you guys have to, or want, or may have to. I really have been very lucky. I've done the work, I've delivered, but I've been extremely blessed that I haven't had to struggle to get the job. Thank God, Jim Henson is the one who gave me all the opportunities.
How about right there?
Hi there.
Hey,
Hey.
my name is Tau Bennett. I don't know if you know me or not. I was in Kevin Clash's movie.
Yeah, sure. I saw it. That was a sweet movie. Yeah.
I brought a Grover puppet that I made when I was 10 to honor you, because this is the occasion to bring this puppet.
Oh, it's very kind. That's very kind. This is, for those of you who couldn't hear, this lady was in a movie.
Boy.
He's a boy.
A boy. A boy?
Yeah, I'm a boy.
Are you sure? Are you certain?
You should see his brother, even prettier.
I apologize. I've had that problem for many years. And he was in a movie with Kevin Clash being Elmo, and so he was saying that he brought Grover in my honor. That was very, very sweet of you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I apologize about destroying your candor. Thank you.
I was wondering.
But he's not finished yet.
Oh, I'm sorry. You have a question?
I was wondering. I've worked very close with Kevin and Leslie Carrera and Marty Robinson. And I was hoping maybe if you have any projects that you're working on soon.
She's looking for a job.
I could.
It's very sweet. You know what? I actually haven't performed for Muppets for years. I've stopped performing about 8 years ago. I mean, I do Sesame Street once a year because they ask me. I just want to have some fun. But I haven't performed for a long time, so I'm not really doing puppet projects. I've done 35 years of it, and I love it. But I've had 4 kids to raise, which was important to me, and I also had directing to do. And I have my wonderful new wife here, which I'm thrilled about. And so I'm not really doing the puppets, but all those guys are brothers and sisters to me, I'm very close. But I'm sorry, I just don't have any projects that I'm doing that would, work for you.
Oh,
Sorry.
Let's see, another question. Let's see if a question can actually top that one, which I thought was a great question. How about right next to her?
There's been a lot of talk recently about a remake of Little Shop of Horrors.
Yeah.
And I was wondering what you thought about that, first of all, and secondly, if you think that enough time has passed that the original ending might actually make it into the movie this time around.
I'm hoping, I don't know if you heard what the question was. She's hoping the original ending will come back on the DVD, and the other is asking me my opinion about the new Little Shop of Horrors that's rumored to be made. I don't know anything about it. Funny, these things happen. Like Dirty Rotten Scoundrel on stage, I knew nothing about it. I knew Chris called me about Death at a Funeral, so I knew about that, but I'm really nothing to do with it. I think the fellow who would play Seymour would be terrific. It's undoubtedly going to be all digital, right? So it all depends how good it is. If the script is great, it stays with the spirit of what Howard does. What I did see, and again, I'm talking about me because I'm here, but there's so many people know. My goal on this thing was to keep the spirit of the off-Broadway play. So on purpose, I didn't make it a big musical. I made it a very tight musical. As a matter of fact, I don't know if you've noticed, probably don't. There's only 2 crane shots in the entire movie. That's all. Usually big movies have big crane shots, but I wanted to make sure it was very tight and had that energy. Now, if this new movie, if they do it, if that energy and vitality is still there, then that's cool,
And how about you.
First time, by sheer coincidence, before I even knew about this, I stumbled upon the original ending on YouTube in black and white.
Right.
And it's amazing.
Yeah.
But I can see why people reacted, why they reacted. I wanted to ask, would you think we'd be able to get away with this movie today? Because it takes a lot of risks, and it's somewhat odd, and its tone is very, very precise, and I'm not sure today that people would take such a risk. I'm wondering, if it would be remade, what differences do you think would be in it as a studio movie?
As a studio movie today, I have a feeling de-homogenized. I have a feeling de-flattened. That's my feeling. Because today, the studio needs to appeal to the broadest group of people. And when you please the broadest group of people, you leave the spikes out. You flatten things a bit. That's my feeling. But who knows until they do it. The ending you saw, I was reminded, I was going to say something about that and I forgot. Okay, lost it.
The comment that you talked about the musical says there are also a lot of long shots that for a musical the shots are relatively long, not cut out like most musicals these days.
Right. Yeah, I was very fortunate that David Geffen really supported. It was a bitch to shoot. I mean, okay, I'll tell you something, okay? And I'm not proud of this. The original budget that David had was $9 million. He asked me to write a $9 million musical. I said I couldn't do that. Just write a rewrite. It was Howard's musical. Believe me, it was all his. I just did editing. It got up to $15 million. I then went over budget another $15 million. It was hairy. And I'm not proud of it, but I learned a great deal, and I think David Geffen was the one who deserved a lot of credit for supporting it, you know. But none of this stuff could have been done if you hadn't had that money, because this kind of stuff you just can't do anymore. I mean, this stuff's, you know, with 30, 40 puppeteers on the ground, doing 30 takes, the music harmonized, the 16 frames, 12 frames, 24 frames, all that stuff. You can't spend it studio time anymore, you know. So I was very fortunate to have that opportunity.
Okay, so we're running out of time here too. This is my segue. So this is going to be the last question.
Oh, secrets. Okay. There's one cool thing that Lyle Conway. Do you remember the? I'll put this down a second. I'll shout louder.
Remember the plant in the beginning where it was on a little stool, and Seymour had the first time feeded blood, and then it grew and grew?
How did it grow?
Forced perspective?
Yes! The only person who got it.
I listened to the commentary.
Oh, okay, but this is how smart Lyle was. It was extraordinary. There's a chair here. I'll make this a chair here. And the plant is here, in a coffee can, okay? Now, what actually is happening here is, when it's growing, is that the coffee can is made of rubber. There's cables going through the legs down to the floor, where the puppeteers are. There's also a rod in the dirt, and that goes also down to the floor through the legs. And when you see the plant, before it grows here, it's not here, it's back here. So when Rick Moranis went upstairs, and he said, grow for me, and the door closed, and the plant grew, what happened was that, and when somebody else was on the leaves too, what happened was that the people who controlled the rubber can started using the cables to poke the rubber. And then the people who were controlling through the floor, the dirt, were pushing the dirt up. And somebody else through the floor was opening the leaves. And at the same time, this was coming closer and closer and closer on track. Until finally it was there. Wasn't that cool? And I had nothing to do with that.
On that note, it was great to have you here.
Oh, thank you.